Questions, questions and questions, and that's the predicament of Sri Lanka cricket at the moment. Hello, this is Roshan Abeysinghe. Let's talk cricket. Yes, there are many questions that are bugging Sri Lanka cricket at the moment. I can think of three. First is, what about the captain? Number two is, what about the 15 for the World Cup, because we are almost at the door of this World Cup. And the third thing is, how successful was the inter-provincial tournament and how much of information input will the selectors use that came out of the inter-provincial tournament. Now the first question, what about the captain? We've heard that Angelo Matthews is not interested, so he's pulled out of the race. So it's now down to two persons, because the selectors have gone on record to say that Dinesh Chandimal hasn't done enough to be considered to be in the playing 11. So then he rules himself out also. The two contenders, it's been narrowed down to Lasith Malinga and Dimuth Karunaratne. At least that's what we hear from the media. As far as Lasith Malinga is concerned, he's done his chances no harm whatsoever. You know why I say that? Because he showed his commitment, he showed his capability, he's also performed. Get off a plane from India in the night after an IPL game, drive to Dambulla, captains the side, 7 wickets, wins the game. What more do you want? Lasith Malinga in that form, with the new ball in hand at the top and then at the death, perfect as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. But is he going to be the captain? Dimuth Karunaratne on the other hand, nothing wrong at all. Led the test side well and batted well in the inter-provincial tournament, close to 170 runs, good strike rate, good average. He's done nothing wrong too. So which one? Which one is your choice? I'm looking to the selectors. I just want to find out what they think. Then before I go to the 15 players, I like to touch on the inter-provincial tournament. Now you know why I want to do that? Because 3 players who I felt should be real certainties for the World Cup. Roshan Abeysinghe, I've seen him win many games for Sri Lanka. Outstanding with the gloves and the bat in hand. He can play unbelievable, unorthodox shots. Danushka Gunathilaka, he certainly had his moments at international level. And then Upul Tharanga, outstanding white ball record. But what have they got as a return in this inter-provincial tournament? The 4-team inter-provincial tournament. Now that throws a question to the selectors. What is your policy? Are you going to go on past record or are you going to go on current form? Now that's what I want to find out. That's a dilemma that the selectors are faced with. Then if you look at the other 2 parts of the Sri Lankan team, that's fast bowling and spin bowling, I think the fast bowling seemed to be alright. Lasith Malinga, Thisara Perera, Kasun Rajitha, 3 names to mention were good. They got amongst the wickets, but I'm worried for the spinners. Because Akila Dhananjaya struggled. Well, he got 6 wickets, but he struggled. He is not the Dhananjaya we have seen him before. Then Lakshan Sandakan, just 2 wickets. Selectors are so big on wrist spinners. Jeffrey Van der Say, I still think he should have played far more for Sri Lanka. Great talent, but 5 wickets at an expensive return. But the man who really did well as far as Sri Lanka spin is concerned is the veteran Jeevan Mendes. 6 wickets, I'm going to talk about him a little while later. But spin bowling is a worry as far as Sri Lanka cricket is concerned and as far as I'm concerned. And I'm wondering which 2 spinners will be picked. Get the feeling Akila might sneak in. Who will support him? Will it be Jeevan? Will it be Dhananjaya De Silva? Well, we'll have to find out. And the next thing is the wicket keeper. Now, if Dikwella is not going to play, if Dikwella is going to be dropped, if Chandimal is not available, if Kusal Perera is injured, it's only Kusal Mendes. Now, can you go into a World Cup with 1 wicket keeper? You'll need a standby at least, just in case there is an injury or something. So Sri Lanka doesn't seem to have that, because Dikwella appears to be out of form, as I said. Chandimal hasn't done enough and Kusal Perera is injured. So these are predicaments that are bugging the Sri Lankan selectors. Add to that, Dasun Shanaka hasn't figured in the inter-provincial tournament, but an outstanding white ball cricketer. Then Lahiru Kumara, exciting young prospect, hasn't played at all. Another outstanding cricketer. Kusal Perera, we continue to speak of he being a match winner, not going to be fit till June. Now the first 2 names I mentioned, that is Dasun Shanaka and Lahiru Kumara, both are injured. Now, what is the policy of the selectors? How serious are these injury concerns? Because the World Cup starts in June. Now, the selectors can name their 15 players and hoping that these players will get into or be injury free and hoping that they'll be fit for the World Cup. But the question is, what is the ICC policy involving that? Can they name 3 players with injuries and hope to replace them if they are not fit? So that's another area that the selectors will be concerned and want answers, but I'm sure they like to have these 3 players on that plane for the World Cup. Now let's get to this interprovincial tournament. That's the third one. I personally felt it should have been 5 teams. You know why I say that? Because some players who have worked their salt, who's played international cricket, who's almost ready to play international cricket, wasn't even playing. Ashan Priyanjan, good example, Sri Lanka A-team player, has played white ball cricket, didn't even figure in the 11 that he was selected to, or at least in that province. And then he had to be transferred to another province and then he played. Amila Ponso, leading domestic bowler, white ball bowler, not given a single game. Dilruwan Pereira brought into the side. I always felt that Dilruwan is a little bit over the top now. He's past his prime, he's carrying a bit of injury, but he was there, not even figuring in any game. And then Nishan Peris brought into the test side to replace, or to the test squad to replace Akila Dhananjay. I think he just played in 1 game. Yes, I know you can only play 4 teams or 44 players, but imagine the pool outside these 44. So I feel, considering that the spinners haven't really done too well, looking at maybe the 3 names I mentioned would have been useful. So I feel the selectors, Sri Lanka cricket, need to play at least 5 teams. Now let's look at the interprovincial tournament and its performances. We spoke about Dikwalla, we spoke about Gunatilaka, we spoke about Taranga. They haven't performed. So what's the policy? On the other hand, Lairu Tirimana, he's got runs. He's got over 200 runs. Second highest run scorer in the tournament after Angelo Matthews. Leading run scorer as an opener. And someone Sri Lanka cricket has invested a lot, and also a player who Sri Lanka cricket can still count on to deliver. Imagine Dimuth Karunaratne and Lairu Tirimana opening, giving them the stability they want, and then the Sri Lankan batsman to build on it. The next 4, 5, 6, 7 batsmen. Well, that's an option that the Sri Lankan selectors will consider, I'm sure, because if they are looking at form. Another player, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, brilliant in the T10 in Dubai. That's where I really saw him blossom. Well, I certainly feel if he's not going to be considered for a World Cup, 50 over World Cup, he should be playing T20 cricket. Man, he's another talent that Sri Lanka cricket needs to make use of. And of course, Jeevan Mendis. I spoke about him before. Now, a World Cup team generally comprises of experience. When I say experience, experienced players who are in form. So Jeevan Mendis bowls his leg spin, very useful, and then he has also got runs in the interprovincial tournament. So these are 3 options that the selectors have in terms of including in their final squad to the World Cup. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there are questions. Now, we sit from outside the line and start naming players, start naming captains. So why don't you do that? You can start sending us your thinking. You can comment below. Tell us who you think will be captain and tell us who you think will be the 15 for this 2019 World Cup. As far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping when I come back the next time, we will have a captain and we will have a winning combination for the 2019 World Cup. Let me remind you, if you have comments or suggestions, comment below. And don't forget to subscribe, like and share.